Welcome back to the Wine and Dime Pod, the podcast where we drink wine and talk hoops. I'm Chris and that's Lindsay, and we are breaking open a bottle of A to Z Wineworks Pinot Noir from Oregon. Shout out to them, People's Champs.
People's Winery, apparently. I'm reading about them. They sound pretty fun. This is a really tasty Pinot Noir, by the way, off the top. Much better than the last Oregon Pinot Noir we did, so shout out A to Z.
It's very, very juicy, very easy drinker, you know what I mean? Very kind of sweet, but it's nice.
Which from the, I would say it's juicy. I wouldn't say it's sweet. There's definitely no sugar in it, but it's definitely jammy.
Yeah.
Like really fruity and jammy. But it's like, when I'm reading about the winery, that's definitely been the ethos, was just creating like, there's no they believe in no right or wrong way to consume a glass of wine, so that's cool.
That's good because I'm drinking out of a plastic cup right now.
Like, I normally wouldn't drink out of stemless, but here we are. So, we're doing all we can do. But we decided,
For the YouTube people, no stem.
Stemless. Sorry, WZ friends. No, we chose to go with some Oregon wine today. One, because, Chris has access to American wine again, being in America. And two, the state of Oregon has participated in a lot of things regarding to basketball lately. So we felt like it was probably time to dive in there. I guess, do you want to just start with the Blazers and the Oregon ecosystem, because they have a new coach, they have a new point guard, they have a lot going on there.
Actually, but before we dive deep into Blazers and before we get into NBA talk with all the crazy shit that's happening, I do want to shout out the Portland Fire. They're having a pretty respectable expansion season, and they just played, coincidentally, after we made the decision to get an Oregon wine. They played in a ridiculously dramatic quadruple overtime game where Carter Lake balled out, but unfortunately couldn't hit the final shot. They looked gassed at the end, but they fought, man. They fought. It's a fun as hell game to watch. I was sitting here in the shared house chilling, watching that one and kind of freaking out. But yeah, it's fun, man. The Portland Fire have been doing their thing. They've been packing the crowd, packing the audience into that arena. It's been dope to watch. But yeah, the Blazers on the men's side, a lot of questions. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, well, I think first we should start with the hiring of Micah Noir as a head coach. I think we should probably start there just because there's a lot to actually kind of talk about. More than we would normally talk about with the hiring of a head coach. But one, shout out to Micah. He's pretty much one of the most universally well-liked assistant coaches in the NBA. Everyone who's ever had him on their staff or has ever coached against him was like, he's going to be a head coach in this league. He should be a head coach in this league. He's interviewed for 5 or 6 different jobs and finally got the one in Portland. But unfortunately, it also came with controversy because he basically signed a 1-year contract with 2 team options, which effectively means
signed into the veterans minimum, man. That's crazy.
Eventually, he's effectively a lame duck coach coming into his job, which is the shittiest possible way to set up your team. The new ownership in Portland, I think that he's a hockey guy, and I just don't think he understands that the NBA works differently. Hockey coaches, he did this with Rod Brindamore in Carolina, so he's going to hold that as being this is how we do it. But I think the difference is that I don't know. I think that's more common in hockey. Coaches coach on 1-year contracts in hockey a little bit more often. Sometimes the players also don't make 10 times more than the coach, or 20 times more than the coach in some cases. So it's a little bit different. You can't have a coach on a 1-year deal and expect them to actually get anything out of players. I think Micah will have buy-in because, someone like Dame was involved in his interview process and his hiring. So you're going to have players in the locker room who are already on your side, and especially a team leader like someone like Dame. But yikes. And then, of course, you have the coaches union is we're happy for Micah, but also we hope this isn't precedent setting. We hope you didn't just screw all of us by signing this deal, Micah. So I feel kind of bad for him. He's kind of getting it from all angles where it's people are happy for you, but also good luck.
So for people who aren't aware of Tom Dundon's general get down, if you Google him right now, you just type Blazers owner into Google. These are the sampling of headlines that you will see. 1, Tom Dundon doesn't plan to contribute to Portland area upgrades. 2, Trailblazers owner says taxpayers must cover entire Moda Center makeover. This dude is out here. He's not just a cheap owner, which is something that fans have always been frustrated by, but he's proud of being cheap. He's the kind of guy who would get single-ply toilet paper for the entire locker room. He's that kind of dude. And it's just incredibly frustrating when you're worth, billions of dollars that you got people out here, pinching pennies. And wasn't he tripping about flights too?
Yeah, so he didn't fly the 2-way players with the team to the playoffs, which is very unusual. Usually you take your 2-way players because you never know, right? Your whole fucking team could get injured in one game. You don't know. It's possible. And then the other thing he did was he refused to pay for late checkouts for any non-essential staff members or players. So basically, the head coach and his most important assistants, which he already had a smaller staff than other teams, Thiago, and then basically, aside from players and like the head coach and maybe like a handful of other coaches, the entire like training staff, like everybody on the road with the team was just milling about the hotel lobby, hanging out at 11 a.m. because like they got kicked out of their rooms. And it's just, I agree that it's like, I think most NBA fans were frustrated by having to have billionaires in charge of these teams because, you know, billionaires. But it's even more frustrating when those billionaires then decide to be cheap. It's like, you've never been cheap in your life. You're a billionaire. You're cheap with other people's money, but not yours. Like, fuck off. Like, it's just annoying. It's like, you have everything. Just give it back a little bit, just like a little bit. And I don't know, the Hurricanes just won a Stanley Cup. So I feel like people are very, you know, he's going to take that as a like, well, I won a championship in the other league I own a team in. So maybe I know what's best and all of you don't. But I don't know. I think we're headed for a very interesting situation. There's definitely a lot of rumblings that he potentially could like move the team. I know that he said he wouldn't when he bought the team. That was part of the sale, I think. I don't really know, but it's messy. And I mean, the guy got famous. He got rich on subprime auto loans, which is like the skeeziest possible thing. So subprime mortgages are why the 2008 financial crisis happened. And then he was like, you know what we should do? Fuck over some poor people with their cars and make money on that. And that's how he's rich. So he's been sued by multiple states. He's pretty shady. So it's like, thanks, Adam Silver. Thank you for letting us.
These are the kind of people now that franchise valuations are this high, these are the kind of people who can afford teams and basically nobody else. And it's not exactly the group of who are going to see at the gates of heaven. You know what I'm saying?
No, the private equity situation is definitely really concerning and unfortunate, to say the least.
Adam, all money is good money. Silver has gotten into bed with some very interesting folks, as we can see with the ongoing gambling situations with Malik Beasley. That's been a lot of fun.
I guess we should probably talk about that as well at some point. Because Ed Davis was involved, Beasley got arrested, and then there was somebody else who just got
federal charges. Man, it's been pretty bad.
There's another player too, I think.
But back to the Blazers. Like, not only is the ownership situation kind of onerous, but like you look at the on court. You know, they just traded for John Morant. And if you told me a few years ago that somebody would get John Morant for Jeremy Grant, you know what I mean, just like salary coming out, not giving up any real draft capital or anything, I'd have been like, wow, that's amazing. He must have dirt on the other guy. But this is one weird case where Ja's value seemed to be in the tank. And like, I still think it's not a bad trade for the Blazers, but the fact that they want him and Damian Lillard and Drew Holiday, they think these guys are all going to be able to play together. They have like 4 point guards, Scoot Henderson too.
Yeah, it was like
they think they're going to all 4 of them play together. I don't know how the fuck that is going to work. Well, I feel like every 6 months the Blazers just like they make one big decision that just says fuck Scoot in all capital letters. Like every 6 months they're like, you know what, the guy we drafted number 2 overall after Wemby, fuck that guy. Like I don't want to see him succeed. I don't want to see him touch the floor. None of that shit. Fuck him. Like what did Scoot do to these people? What did he do?
Scoot's really struggled with, I don't know.
He had a respectable postseason too. And I'm like, they're like, you know what we need to do? Bury him under another point guard.
What he's struggled with is staying healthy, which is not his fault. There's a lot of, I mean, honestly, like he's mostly just missed a lot of games due to health, and then he hasn't been able to really find a big rhythm. That's been kind of his struggle. I do think that Scoot would play well next to a player like Ja or somebody else, because Scoot was at his best last year when a lot of the primary creation was already kind of done, and he was like kind of being like filling in the gaps a little bit more, because he's still a young point guard, and young point guards take forever to develop, as we know. And I agree that it's just weird that they keep stacking guards on. And it seems like there was a report that they don't want to move off of Drew Holiday, which I'm like, what are we doing? Like 3-guard lineups are going to be they're fun. But I mean, you have so many guards. Maybe it's so that they can kind of take pressure off Dame so he doesn't have to be like the primary creator immediately when he comes back. But I mean, it's just weird.
Yeah, we still don't know what Dame's going to look like.
A lot of things are also going around that this is also maybe a precursor to another trade, because they didn't give up any picks or young players. They gave up the lesser important Murray of the Murray family and Jeremy Grant, right? They still have all their picks, including other people's picks that they have in their repertoire, and they got Ja. So it's like they have other young prospects too, like Shaden Sharp, etc. So they seem to be kind of linked to Jaylen Brown a little bit. But then there was a report saying they don't want to move Holiday. So it's like, well, Holiday is probably your best bet in trying to get someone like Jaylen Brown. Also, I feel like the Celtics would kind of want Drew Holiday back if they could. So I don't know. Portland's definitely strange. I do think it was a good trade, though. Like the trade itself, I do think it was a good trade because just from like a buy low situation, like John Morant's value, like a top 2 pick in the league, a top 2 pick, one of the youngest, brightest stars. He is signed to Nike. He just got sent back to Nike. He literally just got sent to Nike headquarters, basically. And, you know, like you have the opportunity to basically trade for a franchise star for like a bag of chips, pretty much.
Yeah, they did not give up any
Like,
serious long-term assets for one of the
no.
most talented guards in the league.
And I don't think they really wanted to keep Jeremy Grant anyway. They kind of wanted off his contract because he didn't really fit around what they were doing, especially once IDF boy over there started going off. They didn't really want to like give the ball to Jeremy anyway. So, I mean, they really kind of didn't lose anything of value to them. And they got a supremely, like, I think and I hope Jod's going to be more locked in and focused and, you know, kind of wanting to like have a revenge tour this season and
Hopefully healthy too.
and hopefully he can stay on the court so that he can have that revenge tour. Because that was the other problem, though, was that when he was on the court, he wasn't particularly good. And it was hard to know if some of that was engagement or if whatever. I'm choosing to take the optimistic side of things where I don't think he's going to be a problem for the one-year coach. Because, I mean, he tried to get 2 coaches fired in Memphis as well, right? So he's been having beefing with coaching staff and shit like that. So I don't know. I'm choosing to believe that a lot of the off-court stuff was kind of spiraled. Like, I think it's one of those things where it snowballs. One thing happens and then maybe people don't support you like you're supposed to, or you realize your support system has like been enabled or various whatever things, and it just kind of snowballed into worse things. But I don't think he's a bad person. And I think that much worse people are in this league and still get traded for more, which we'll talk about later. And I don't think it's totally fair to constantly bring up like all of the gun stuff. Like, yes, it was bad, but he's kind of moved on from that. He just has been straight up bad on the court. And I think we can talk about that. And that's more fair to discuss is the fact that he just hasn't been terribly efficient, can't really shoot from deep. And like his athleticism has kind of waned the last couple of years. So I think those are all really fair risks. I don't think off the court's going to be a big risk. And I think if that is something that anyone's worried about, they have like possibly the best leader and most stable player in the NBA, Dame Lillard. So they're going to have someone who actually wants to mentor people also. Like,
Yeah.
and Dame actually comes from that background that Ja doesn't. Ja doesn't come from like the streets. He's not that guy, and that's part of it. And so it's like Dame he gets that life, right? I mean, I feel like they will do good for each other. I think that Ja will benefit from Dame's leadership. I just don't know what they're going to do with that many guards. I'm curious to see if another move happens at the end of the day. I think it was a good trade. I just think it's kind of like leaves them in a weird team building setup now. They have absolutely no shooting, so that's definitely an issue. But
yeah, in theory, Ja's ball handling and playmaking plus Dame's shooting would be an incredible combination. But in practice, I don't know how good you think Donovan Clingan is at defense, but ain't nobody that good to cover for all that.
Clingan and Tumani Kamara are going to be doing a lot of work to clean up after those
They
two.
brought Robert Williams back, I think. So you know they got that. But hey man, they ain't but one person. Ain't nobody can cover for all that.
The 5 games that Ja and Robert Williams play together will be really fun.
Like between Ja, Robert Williams, and Damian Lillard, the over under on I'm not advocating for betting obviously, but the over under on like the number of games that all 3 of them are on the court together
Can't be high.
3.5.
Yeah.
4.5.
Tops. I don't know. It's crazy. It's just weird. I think that there's more to be concerned about in Portland for sure, which is the ownership situation and all the other just stuff that they'll figure out the team building aspect. They seem to have figured that part out like the last little bit, but it is weird. I honestly wanted the Raptors to go for Ja when it was like, I'm like when it was clear that his value was like absolutely nothing. I was like, man, that would be pretty sweet because
the Raptors did get somebody on a discount. Mere hours before we recorded this, the Raptors reportedly have now landed Kawhi Leonard, and they got him for pretty cheap. Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick, 2 unprotected firsts, a first-round pick swap in 2 seconds. Now, Kawhi is 35 and has been injured pretty frequently, but I think the Raptors wanted off that BI contract already anyway. They gave up on Grady Dick and basically didn't play him at all last year, and they're expecting. I would expect the Raptors think those 2 firsts are not going to be great picks.
No, and the other thing is that Kawhi has never been healthier than the year he was in Toronto.
Yeah,
him and Alex
pretty healthy year last year too.
Him and Alex McKechnie, like, and he's actually talked. One thing Kawhi has talked about pretty openly is how Alex McKechnie, who's the head of the Raptors training staff and medical staff, he is famously like one of the best in the business. He was with the Lakers for their run too, and the Suns too, for a long time. So he's been like he's been knighted. So he's Sir Alex McKechnie. He's very well respected, and like Kawhi has stated numerous times that was like someone that he really respected. And like every time they played the Raptors, Kawhi always went and found Alex. Like there's been like a million photos of like various reunions between the Clippers and Raptors. Yeah, they didn't really give up that much, like the value. So thank you to Aspiration for and Ballmer for tanking Kawhi's value. But
Kawhi's gonna be in Ontario single-handedly saving the green belt. You're gonna be planting all the trees, man, all of them.
So many trees. I
Only
don't know.
you can prevent forest fires. Look at that.
Or create them by having more trees to burn. Fuck. Speaking of which, it's so much smoke here now already. But yeah, I have really mixed feelings about the Kawhi thing. Like, I'm happy about it, I think. I've kind of gone back and forth on it because when the whole thing was being leaked, like, also, we know it was the Clippers doing all the leaking because the Raptors never do. And they were doing it because they wanted more, obviously. They wanted Jamal Shed, they wanted Jacoby, they wanted, like, players, like, good players, but...
Murray Boyles,
yeah. Bobby straight up laughed at him, actually. There was a report that Raptors actually laughed at Lawrence Frank when he asked for CNB.
Yeah, the Clippers were not operating from a position of power. Kawhi had apparently said he'd only sign an extension with the Raptors, and also there's a whole ass investigation. They're they could have got a contract voided or something and been ass out and got nothing. So you know, I think in their case they're happy they got anything.
I will say on that front though,
3 picks. You know what I mean? I'll take it.
Regardless of my Raptors fandom, though, I do think that the NBA is failing by not having that investigation done because this is definitely creating a really fucked up situation. Because, I mean, like, in a way, it kind of won't hurt the Raptors other than if they void the contract, we don't get our picks back, probably, which would suck. At least we got off the contracts we didn't want, though. So there's that. But, I mean, we could have done that for something else, probably. So it would still suck ass for the Raptors. I think it hurts the Clippers more than anything because they're the ones who did it. But it also just, like, I don't know. I think it's really frustrating that the NBA, like, can't handle things in a somewhat timely manner, and it's like it just creates more confusion, like the whole Terry Rozier thing with his contract, and it's like the Heat being in purgatory, not being able to trade him for something that he did while he was a Hornet is like crappy when he was already being investigated when he was on the Hornets. So like, why did you let anybody trade for him in the first place? Like, just any of that stuff, it's like there's just creating all these extra messes that are just so unnecessary, and it just kind of like continues to not erode, but it definitely like is a challenge to the integrity of the league and just like Adam Silver's leadership. And just those kinds of things where it's like, again, like you said, all money is good. Adam, all money is good money, Silver is, you know, creating problems for himself by these things. And I'm really curious. I don't know. I'm going to be really annoyed to some extent. It's like some punishment does come down after he got traded and it actually affects the team that traded for him because it's like, this isn't Toronto's fault. We straight up wouldn't capitulate to his shitty demands. That's why he chose to go to the Clippers. Like,
I would imagine they would only hurt the Clippers. They probably, I don't know, take some picks or some shit.
But if they void the contract, that hurts the team that traded for him.
I don't think they'll do that. I think the cat would already be out the bag at that point. So I don't think that option would be available to them.
It would be probably because he still signed the contract. Like at the end of the day, like I guess it wouldn't have the same effect as if he was still a Clipper. But it would still be a punishment to him. But at the same time, then what's stopping him from going and re-signing another contract? So it's just like confusing.
I don't think they'd want to punish the Clippers more than they'd want to punish Kawhi, even though obviously Kawhi's at the center of it.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, because there'd be no way to punish Kawhi without punishing his new team.
Yeah, but I just don't know how you also don't punish the player for like asking, like, you know what I mean? And then maybe it's not the player, it's his representatives. But again, how do you like parse? It's just so hard to parse. And I feel like all of that just also sullies like the whole thing because it's like, it's just hanging over everything. His value is so shit as a result of this that we could get him. And that's exciting. But at the same time, like, this also sucks knowing that all of this is still out there and hanging over it, you know? So
I saw someone on Twitter say the real punishment is having to watch Brandon Ingram play basketball.
Yeah.
That's fucked up, man.
I would like to say that I think BI is definitely catching a lot more strays than he probably deserves. Like, he actually did manage to recoup his value enough to get us Kawhi because he did not have that value when we traded for him. And he did help the Raptors get to the playoffs in a big, big way. Like, without him, I actually don't know that we would have because he was proof of concept of the idea that you just need a number one scorer next to Scotty and you're fucking set. And because Scotty just isn't quite that scorer, but he's everything else. And so he was proof of concept where now we have an apex predator in BI's position. So it's a great thing. But I also don't think that it's fair to Brandon Ingram entirely the way that some Raptors fans are treating him. I'm like, he was not good, don't get me wrong. And he absolutely shat the bed in the playoffs, but he also wasn't healthy. And like, it is what it is. Like, I don't know. I don't think he deserves to absolutely he's catching a few more strays than I think he probably deserves in all seriousness, but he, yeah, he did a good job. I don't know. I'm happy happy for the year that we had with him and happy that he was able to get that value back. And not, I guess I'm happy we have Kawhi. I don't know. I actually still don't know how I feel about it.
You're not happy for the reunion, reminiscing
No,
about old times.
not really, because it's different. He is 35. This kind of feels like, I don't know. Well, this is you coming back to your ex, and I don't know. I just feel kind of like, so you're crawling back now after you went and failed on your own.
Yeah, I couldn't find nobody else. Like, hey, this was as good
Yeah.
as they ever got. Like, let's just run it back.
And I'm not going to lie to you, that makes me feel a certain type of way. Like, I don't know. I know that a lot of Raptors fans are obviously very happy, and it feels cool that a superstar chose to come to us. But he only did it after he wouldn't sign the first time, left for 7 years, tried to create Raptors West, and then was like, oh, I failed. Maybe let's come back. And I'm like,
Yeah, you
I
break up
don't
with your
love
new girl,
that.
and you're like, the dating scene's fucked up now. I gotta just spin the block. You know
Yeah.
what I
I'm
mean?
like, come on,
Let me
man.
see.
Like, I don't know.
Do I still have her number?
Yeah. Yeah. 6 girl. Got her. Like, I don't know. It just, it's just like, it's hard. And I mean, I'm happy.
Saving the phone as Toronto Ting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, I'm happy that we got him only because the package wasn't big. If we had given up Jamal Shed or Jacoby or CMB or any of those players, I think I would have hated it immediately. Because in my mind, Jacoby is more important to the team than an extra pick. I'd rather give up an extra pick than Jacoby, because Jacoby's like now a proven NBA role player who I think with having a player like Kawhi on the court, he's going to get immediately better too. Like, all these players are going to get better, and I don't think that losing them would help us. If we had lost Pirtle, that would have definitely sucked, but also would have been hilarious if he was in the Kawhi trade a second time. Um,
Yeah, I think the Clippers need him for that little rebuild. By the way, that's not exactly a stunning array of young talent the Clippers have right now.
It's not, and so that's why it's kind of like embarrassing for them that they couldn't get any of the Raptors' best young players for Kawhi.
Yeah, that's what happens when there's a scandal looming over the entire
What
trade.
happens when I mean, I will say it is super funny that Lawrence Frank stopped Kawhi only to have to trade him back to the Raptors for nothing.
I saw one of those, like, it was like I think it was either ESPN or like Legion or something, one of those like Clippers new look lineup, eyeball emoji, eyeball emoji, eyeball emoji, and it was like Darius Garland, Benedict Mathurin, Brooke Lopez, and I was like, Brandon Ingram. Like, it's some of these are good players, but this is not a good team.
Yeah, no. Not at all.
They none of these players are bad, but this team is not good. The standard is so high for contention right now. Like, they're going to be fighting for maybe a play-in spot.
Yeah, at best.
Maybe, generously.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess for final thoughts on the Raptors, I think overall, in the end, I'm happy about it. It's just weird. And the good news is there's lots of, I mean, I just also depends how much we pay him on an extension, or if we give him the extension, to be honest. I'm kind of curious if the Raptors also just kind of did that. As like, I don't know, maybe they'll try and flip him. Probably not. But it's just weird. I don't know. I think I like it. We're losing on a lot of other players, and I think I'd rather have Kawhi than Jaylen Brown, because I think Kawhi ultimately fits better with what we're doing than Jaylen. I mean, he's a better player. I mean, it's easier to get excited about Kawhi when you remember that last year was also like his best year of basketball in his career, which is fucked up. Like, so it's easier to get excited when you remember that part, but it's weird. Just overall, very strange experience. So
Yeah, there's definitely some complicated feelings out there, but I get the sense that people are happier than not, at least among
most
the
Raptors fans are really happy. I would say like Raps Twitter as a whole is quite happy. I would say there's a minority of people like me who are like happy about it, but like not over the moon. I think our happiness was very much tied to the amount that we paid for him, kind of thing. There's some people who straight up didn't want him at all, which is fine. I'd rather have Kawhi than BI, but I think anybody who's mostly against it was just like would have been more against it if it was a higher price to pay. I'm not wild about giving up 2 picks, but I also am not stupid, and he's still Kawhi Leonard. We just have to give up something of value. So I get that. We had to give up some draft capital. And I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think they're going to be very good first round picks. So
hopefully not.
It's fine. Not that we've had a particularly great drafting record with first round picks anyway. See also Grady Dick. So thanks for the red sequin suit, Grady. We'll always have that.
Yeah, it was, he was a vibe. He was a nice guy. I enjoyed him.
I love Grady, like genuinely. Like, I actually do really love him as like a human. Like, I don't know him, but just his persona on the team was awesome and like his vibes were good. And I don't know. I think some people think he got screwed a little bit, but I don't. I just don't think he really developed the way he was supposed to. And some of that is on maybe on the coaching and some of it's on whatever. I think they waited too long to send him to the G League. But even when he went to the G League, he struggled the first year. And then honestly, last year he got chances. Darko put him on the floor. He got chances. Darko gave him opportunities. He just didn't use them. The problem with Grady is that when you're drafted for something purely like shooting, if it doesn't connect in the NBA, like it doesn't matter how much better you get at the other things. The main skill you were drafted for was your shot. And if it's not falling, like you can't stay on the floor. Like we need spacing. And if someone else can give us that, like if Jacoby can become unconscious and hit 6 threes in a row, like then we're going to put him out there. And Jacoby's a more willing defender anyway. And they drafted Jacoby for shooting too. It just took a little longer for his shot to fall. But last year it really started to fall. And that was, I think, really the difference at the end of the day was like Jacoby's going to play harder on defense. And if his shot's falling, then sorry, Grady, but we can only have one offense first wing out there. Jacoby's a better defender anyway. So Grady tried. He just couldn't. His lateral quickness was never quite there. Kind of lacked some athleticism and whatever. But we'll always have the Wizard of Oz suit on draft day.
Well, speaking of stunning acquisitions by Eastern Conference teams, the Miami Heat now have Tim Hardaway Jr. Now, to compliment Giannis Antetokounmpo, obviously after making a big trade, everyone kind of saw this one coming. I think there was a little bit of drama between, okay, would he land in Miami or Boston? Would Jaylen Brown go out? I think if you're the Bucks, though, even though Jaylen Brown's a better player than anybody that the Bucks actually got from Miami, the fact that he's like in his late 20s as opposed to like mid or early 20s, I think probably tipped the scales a little bit. Because if you're the Bucks, you're blowing it up. Like if you're trading Giannis from that team, wasn't even particularly good with him on it, playing out of his mind. So there's no misgivings of like, oh man, like if we just retool real quick, we'll be back in contention. Like if we swap him for Jaylen Brown, like no, they had to blow it up.
Yeah.
They went and got Tyler Hero, who's a proven 20-point scorer. He's in his mid-20s, like 25, 26, roughly in his prime. They might move on from him too. They might try to swap him out for something else, reportedly. Khalil Ware, pretty good young center. Jaime Jaquez Jr., Kasparas Yakushonis, and 3 firsts, a pick swap and a second. So they got a decent return. They probably should have made this trade a year earlier, if we're being completely honest, but this isn't a bad return, especially if you think the Heat might blow up or collapse in the near future, which is not impossible.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, like I actually do think the Bucks probably were smart to go this route over the Jaylen Brown route because the Jaylen Brown route wasn't really going to get you any further ahead than you are now. And you're right. I think a rebuild, unfortunately, is kind of the only option after a star like Giannis leaves. And the other thing, too, is that the team was already basically in rebuilding mode anyway. They just had Giannis left. So, like, they may as well pull the plug. And they didn't have any young prospects anyways, really.
No, they're probably the most talent-poor roster in the league, and Giannis was just kind of the glue holding all that shit together. So now
yeah, like even
you have a shot
Clippers
at actually accumulating some players.
100%. Like the Clippers are a weird team, but at least they have more talent, technically.
Yeah, they just drafted them top 5. That helps.
Right?
You know.
And I mean, you still have James Harden. Oh, no, sorry. He's in Cleveland now. Jesus.
Yeah, that feels weird to say still.
Yeah. Ugh, God. The NBA is a strange place. Like, man. Also, it's wild that a player like LeBron is controlling free agency after 20 years still.
He's, what, 42 years old now? Like,
he's 41 and a half years old. And he still makes everybody on NBA Twitter drop what they're doing. Like,
especially now that there's an understanding that he's not, I need to get the max, blah, blah, blah. He said, hey, this is not going to be a financially driven decision. I don't know. We don't know what that means. We don't know how much it is that he's going to demand, but it's not going to be a max salary slot. And so there's a real opportunity for a team that's already good to acquire a LeBron James in free agency.
I doubt he's going to take a vet minimum, but I'm curious what the LeBron vet minimum looks like.
Mid-level exception for LeBron James.
That's probably
it feels weird to say.
It does, but that's probably like LeBron's vet minimum is mid-level tops. Like,
yeah.
Minimum. Like it's weird.
And there are
but
good teams that have that available to them, like actual quality teams. There's rumors about Cleveland, there's rumors about Miami. I don't know how they would necessarily get the flexibility at Cleveland to make that happen, but
well, that was my my partner called me when I texted her to say LeBron was leaving the Lakers. She phoned me and we talked about it, and she's convinced he's going to Cleveland. But I'm like, honestly, yeah, betting odds probably there. I just don't know how they're financially going to figure that out because they still owe James Harden money and other things. But
yeah, I don't know how they're gonna. I don't know if he's gonna be able to compete for another championship again, but he's certainly going to compete for Dad of the Year after because he made his announcement that he's leaving for free agency right after his son's deal became fully guaranteed with the Lakers. So way to lock in a couple million for your boy. Way to keep your kid eating, keep a roof over his head. Shout out to you, LeBron.
Man, should we finish up on the Giannis thing? We didn't really talk about that much. I feel I've been talking about the Giannis trade for like a year though.
Yeah, the Heat are kind of gonna be what they are. They have Bam, they have Giannis, they have a whole lot of question marks after that. There's gonna be a whole lot of, hey man, is there a veteran who's available on the cheap who wants to chase a ring? It's gonna be a lot of those calls, a lot of scouring the buyout market.
Yeah. I mean, I just got
Probably not a
Timmy.
lot of picks left in the cupboard to trade, but they'll try to do something.
Yeah. I just don't think the Heat are going to get better. They will be what they will be.
Yeah.
I am curious, what do you think the Bucks do with Tyler Hero?
I mean, I don't think they'll be desperate to get rid of him. I think if he comes out, is healthy, is scoring 20 a night or whatever, some team is like, man, we don't have any kind of fucking shooting. Might try to go get him. Maybe they need like a combustible bench scorer like he was in Miami once upon a time. Or maybe they need, a little bit extra ball handling, which is always, there's a few teams that lack that. I don't think they're gonna be in a hurry to get rid of him, but I'm sure they're listening to offers all season, like all season.
Yeah.
If somebody offers a good value first, like a top half of the draft, like lottery pick first, they'll take it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking was like, he's from Wisconsin, so at the end of the day, the Bucks aren't going to be mad to like
He's from
keep him
Milwaukee,
around.
actually.
Yeah, and he spurned Wisconsin because he was supposed to go to Wisconsin for college, and then he spurned them to go to Kentucky, committed to Wisconsin, and then he decommitted to go to Kentucky, and everyone kind of hated him for it.
He was gonna go to Wisco? Not like
Yeah.
he
Yeah,
feels like
he
a
signed
Marquette
up.
guy. I don't know how to explain it. He just doesn't feel like a Wisconsin guy.
Yeah, well, it's because they're trying to be black part, probably. He sorry, but
I mean, that's what I meant.
yeah, 100%, 100%, yes. But anyways, I don't even know why I know that about Tyler Hero. I think I just remember reading an athletic article about it randomly. Anyway, doesn't matter. Beside the point. I think that the Bucks will be happy to keep him around, sell tickets to his family who want to come watch him play for the first part of the season, and then let him kind of get some more. Because the thing is I feel like Tyler Hero's trade value is very strange right now as well, because I think he obviously has trade value. I don't think his value is low. I just don't think it's necessarily like he's been kind of miscast as the number one. It's made his value strange. So I'm kind of curious to see if him getting some run on a team like the Bucks, kind of like what Mikal Bridges on the Nets, that kind of situation, where now he gets to completely be stretched out, but it'll be good for him and for another team to kind of narrow down what his value actually probably is. And I don't think he'll get
He can go
overpaid
full
for.
Levine mode, man. He can go put up all the points he wants.
Yeah, like I don't think he's going to get 5 first-round picks like Mikal Bridges, obviously. But I do think that the Bucks can probably flip him.
Fuck all 5 of them picks too.
But I'm pretty sure the Bucks will be able to like flip Tyler Hero if they want to. So I kind of don't hate it for the Bucks. I don't really know enough about college basketball to understand their draft, but hey, extra lottery picks are always good. So hopefully they use that wisely and Nate Amon, works out. But yeah, no, very strange. But it's the honest thing. I do think the Bucks definitely waited too long. I think the waving and stretching Dame and the Miles Turner thing was definitely the point where it was like, okay, this was definitely a mistake. Before that, I think everything else was justifiable. Like you're trying to keep your star happy. But until then, I think it was like defensible. And then after that, it was like, yeah, I don't think this is going to be.
Yeah, they just abandoned Turner in Milwaukee, man. He's just stuck there now.
Well, yeah, I don't even know what happens to him because he's not even good anymore. I think that his time in Milwaukee really highlighted the importance of Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah, so did the whole Indiana situation last year.
Yeah. Also, speaking of real quick on that front, I just want to quickly talk about speaking of big men and Indiana and just having a point guard who makes you look better. Jalen Duren. I think we need to talk about that really quick because there's a lot of rumors that he's talking to the Kings. He wants to sign and trade to the Kings, and he is the one driving this, not the Pistons. Duren is the one taking the meeting. And I just want to say, like, are you sure, buddy? Like, are you sure? I know. I don't want to ever criticize somebody for getting their bag because especially the way the NBA works, you make your most money when you're past your prime and you have to have like kind of gotten there versus in advance, right? You got to take and especially it's getting harder and harder. I think players are smart and they see this new CBA and they're seeing players like, for instance, honestly, someone like Peyton Watson in Denver. Denver needs to bring him back. But he's also a player who in a different CBA would have had way more interest on the open market in terms of for a big money contract because there was just more cap space available and people weren't just afraid of like running into like, paying the tax. But now with the aprons, I think it just makes the market more challenging for players like him where it's like you had one really, really good year how much to pay you. And that's where Jalen Duren's situation is. But so I understand him wanting to get his bag now while he can. And obviously he was hugely important to the Pistons becoming what they were. And, he survived that 28-game losing streak. He's been there this whole time. He's also only 22. He's like unbelievably young still. I don't blame him for trying to get a bag, but it's like, do you want to leave Cade Cunningham? Really? Is that a good choice for you? Like, I'm not saying that Cade is the reason Jalen is as good as he is, but I'm not saying that either in the sense that, like, Duren, his skill set very much requires a top-tier point guard or top-tier guard play to still make work. He's apparently taking a meeting with the Lakers. I like that a lot better because if he could play with Doncic, like, it's game over for the league. But
Yeah, a lot of oops to be thrown.
But that's just kind of my thing with his style of play is I'm like, he's so young. Not that I think he should take a pay cut necessarily, but I just feel like the Pistons and him surely can find some kind of thing. Pistons should definitely pay him. I just don't think that, like, I don't know, man. I wouldn't want to leave that point guard. But other funny thing I will talk about, how you and I have mentioned this multiple times on the pod. We talk about it also a lot about how, like, every time we play 2K, we do like the my team or whatever, and you always like draft
Fantasy
Duren.
draft.
Always take Duren in the expansion draft. What's happening right now is also how Jalen Duren leaves your team in the expansion in like my team every single time. He's usually just like unhappy, doesn't want to resign. He takes something personal and won't come back to the team. Like I've actually had this direct experience on my team and like on NBA 2K. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Like,
And I have the opposite. He winds up being like a 25-12 guy for like forever, and I'm like,
oh, see, I've had the experience where he gets good, and then every time I try to offer him an extension, he's like, nah. And I'm like,
oh, it's because I put my team in Mexico City, so he's out there, man. We're chilling.
Maybe. I don't know.
We're
But
chilling.
I'm like, brother, like, what the fuck? And so it was deeply funny to me that this is kind of happening in real life. But I don't know. I think that it's personal now. I think he really expected to be getting, I don't know if they expected the super max, but I think he was expecting a full max. And I think that the Pistons were leery to even give him that after one tremendous season. I think the Pistons should shut the fuck up and give him that. But whatever.
Reportedly, they'll match any offer that comes their way, but
I did see that.
They're not gonna volunteer that money. They're just gonna do it to make sure you don't leave for free.
But then I think you end up with a situation potentially like DeAndre Ayton and Phoenix when that was happening, when the Phoenix was
we're
like,
paying this money, but reluctantly.
Yeah.
We didn't want to give you this money.
Players and agents remember that.
Yeah.
Like, they remember, right? And
Ayton, for one, stopped trying afterward.
I mean, he never really tried that hard before, but yeah, he especially
that one season he was locked the fuck in because Chris Paul was on his ass.
Chris Paul was there yelling at him every step of the way. So I don't know. The Duren thing is interesting. I'm curious to see where he lands. If he ends up in LA, that's insane. Yeah. Speaking of the Suns.
The Wolves.
Yeah.
Yep,
well, you just
enough.
mentioned the Suns because of DeAndre Ayton. Do you want to just talk, since we're talking about the confusing teams real quick, do you want to hit them real fast?
The Suns made a bit of a weird one. Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal. And then they sent a 2033 pick. And I think they picked up a 2028 or 2029 pick from, oh my God, my brain just stopped working.
From Charlotte?
Yes, from Charlotte for the Evil Bridges.
The nasty man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stunning. Wow.
And I was utterly perplexed by this move. And then somebody mentioned offhand that he went to Michigan State, and I was like, they're collecting anyone who took a class at Michigan State, whether they showed up or not. They're just collecting them.
It's like how the NFL hires any head coach who like had a conversation with Sean McVay. That's kind of what's happening here.
Oh my God. I need to shake his hand once so somebody can give me like a special teams coordinator position somewhere.
Right? Hire me for anything. Literally anything. Yeah. It's kind of wild because I feel like the Hornets definitely won, both from a vibes-based situation and from like players they received back situation. Because I think that someone, Grayson Allen, can actually genuinely help their team. Even Royce O'Neal offers some defense and things like that, whatever, he's useful. And they got rid of a nasty, nasty person who should probably be in jail and not on a basketball court. And yet here we are. And he's definitely who I was referring to when we said worse people are still in the league with more value than. How did he get a first-round pick and John Morant didn't?
Well, they did send one back the other way, but also, yeah, it's still.
But still.
They sent probably the least valuable of the picks that were exchanged because the Suns are going to be horseshit in 2033.
Yeah. Like, it's kind of stunning and crazy. The Hornets look kind of fun now. I do think it was perplexing.
They did a hard reset, man. Somebody said they gentrified the Charlotte.
I will say that the one thing with the Hornets that's like weird is, we may as well stay there and talk about the other trade that happened. Was that like you guys had like the best season in possibly franchise history and then traded your franchise point guard. And I
Well,
mean,
they've had better seasons than that. They had to go back to like the Larry
but it's
Johnson era, but
true. But it's been like so long, I guess, is more my point. Like in the modern
yeah,
era, it's been a
yeah. The
long time
Bobcats
since.
never won a playoff series.
And like even in Kemba's day, they only made like the playoffs one time, I think,
I think
maybe
they were 8
twice.
seed a couple times and got smoked every time.
They never won a playoff game under Kemba. I know that.
I think they only played on NBA TV like exclusively.
I
Like they
know
were that
for
team.
I do know that they've never won a playoff game. They never won a playoff game under Kemba because I remember the first playoff games in his career that he was winning, or maybe a playoff series, but the first real like winning he ever had in the playoffs was with Boston when he went there. And I miss Kemba Walker. Speaking of Kemba, anyway, doesn't matter. But it's an interesting thing that the Hornets did. I'm curious to know what they know that no one else knows about LaMelo. Maybe they just got really sick of the traffic tickets. I don't know. But their security was like, we're tired of fucking paying for your parking or your traffic violations. We don't want to deal with lawsuits pertaining to running kids over, so please leave.
They haven't won the Hornets have not won a playoff series since 2002 when they
Yeah.
beat the Magic in the first round
Yeah.
and they lost in 5 in the next round.
Yeah.
Brutal. Shout out to Muggsy Bogues, man.
I love Muggsy. But
I don't know
yeah,
if he was
no,
on that year's team, but shout out to him
I love
anyway.
Muggsy. Honestly, like the Hornets have had some deeply likable players. I mean, Larry Johnson, can't dislike Grandmama. Love Kemba, love Muggsy. Like they've had some likable players. Michael Jordan was just a terrible owner for a long time also, to be honest. Great Hooper, terrible owner. Funny how that works. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really. How do you
Baron
feel about
Davis was on that team.
who?
Baron Davis was on that
Aaron
team. I know that
Davis.
shit had to be fun to watch.
I'm sure it was. No, I don't know. It just seems surprising that they kind of gave up on LaMelo that quick when it clearly really worked well with Brandon Miller and Knipple. But there's something about LaMelo's instability sometimes that I think is probably super frustrating. I'm sure dealing with the Ball family as a whole is just a headache.
He's been hurt a lot, but and like there's been questions about his defense, blah blah blah. But like he was clearly the most talented guy. He clearly made the
Yeah,
offense a whole lot better when he was on the court than off. But like it just felt like I don't know personality disconnect with the coaching staff or with the front
I think
office
so.
or something. They just wanted to hard reset that whole franchise, man.
I honestly think that's probably what it was because getting rid of him and Miles is kind of a those are like the two kind of holdovers really from that era of Hornets basketball because everybody else on that roster has been turned over, right? So I mean, a lot of them are
Yeah.
pretty new or whatever, and so I don't hate it. I mean, I
Well,
don't hate it.
the highways and the dating apps both got a lot safer in the greater Charlotte areas.
True facts. True facts. People of North Carolina can live their lives peacefully again. They can celebrate the Hurricanes winning without having to worry about getting mowed down.
I don't know if their fan base stretches that far outside of Raleigh, but you know, good for them.
Actually, I've seen lots of stuff all over North Carolina. The Hurricanes are they've gotten some traction outside of Raleigh a little bit too. But yeah, anyways, I've never been a big LaMelo Ball fan, so I'm like, okay, that's probably better for the Hornets. I am deeply intrigued to see the Ant-Man era of Minnesota.
I enjoy the audaciousness of LaMelo's offensive game and the creativity. I can't even like appraise him as like playoff entity because we just haven't really seen it. So I can't even tell you like it does or does not work in the playoffs. I couldn't tell you because the Hornets just had not been good enough for that to matter. So we're gonna find out because he's going to a team that's gonna be in the playoffs every year. And that's gonna be really, really fascinating.
Curious to see if the trade, because like one thing I guess, trying to word this nicely, because I don't want to be a dick and I'm not really that person either, but it's one of those things where I feel like you see players like him who kind of like good player on bad team and rack up stats and kind of just get to do whatever they want for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's always interesting to see how they react when they get traded to a better team because obviously every player comes into the league saying they want to win, right? That's want to win, we want to win, I care about winning. That's like the line. And you kind of get to see just how much, right? Because LaMelo is undeniably a brilliant basketball player in so many ways, right? But at the same time, he also has the most questionable shot selection I think I've ever witnessed in my entire life. And it's chaos, quite frankly. But yeah, I mean, at the same time, if he's truly motivated to win, like him and the Balls always talk about, then he will fit well nice next to Ant, and he'll definitely like, Chris Finch is not going to be nice to him when he takes stupid shots. That's for sure. I don't think Anthony Edwards is going to be very nice to him if he takes dumb shots. So Rudy Gobert will kick his ass probably. So he'll set an extra hard screen in practice. Like, they'll send a message. Like, I think that the Wolves team, one thing about this Wolves team is they seem to be about accountability for sure. Ant wants to win and he'll tell everybody who listens, that he wants to win. And he's willing to be difficult on people if he has to be. And like, he knows he's learning how to lead. He's talked openly about that. Some people you need to call out, some people you don't, but he's grown a ton as a leader. And I feel like, I don't think LaMelo is like an idiot. I don't think he's a terrible person. So I feel like he'll be okay. It's just that we saw the unhinged version of him allowed to do whatever the hell he wanted in Charlotte because he had nobody checking him, And when Michael Jordan drafts you, I think that also makes people feel a certain type of way about themselves, Like when the team that Michael Jordan owns drafts you, I do think that probably adds like an element of just as a little air to your head, You get a little.
Was Jordan still the owner then?
Yeah, Jordan was still the owner.
Damn.
And it was like a really big deal still because I remember like LeVar talked about like meeting Michael Jordan and shit.
Right. He said he would beat him one-on-one.
Beat him one-on-one and stuff like that, yeah. So, yeah. The Wolves have changed significantly this offseason. One thing about Tim Connolly, he's going to go for broke every single time.
Yeah, Randall's gone. Speaking of like the accountability issue, right? Like
salary dump too.
Feel like there's a lack of that there. Yeah, also salary dumped him a bit. Naz Reid, much to the chagrin of his man. I mean, the fans were devastated.
Even I think teammates.
Governor was sad. Like all kinds of people, man.
I think teammates too. Naz Reid was definitely universally likable. John Krasinski talked about this a little bit on the Zach Lowe show after the trade, and part of the reason people are so devastated about Naz is that Naz was actually like the first, like
not the actor John Krasinski, right?
No, the athletic writer.
Not Jim. Okay.
Yeah, not Jim from The Office. No, I mean I wish I knew Jim from The Office. That'd be cool. But no, John Krasinski, the Wolves beat writer for The Athletic, he talked about how with Naz Reid, part of the big sadness in it was that why fans latched onto him is that he was like the first player that they had really like developed. He'd gone from like undrafted into basically he was going to be the starter, and he was like worthy of being the starter. He's a starting caliber player. And I mean, I know this from players like Fred VanVleet and even Jamal Shead. And, we always have those players on your team, like Deuce McBride for you, I know is that kind of player. Like those, like not super highly drafted, but just those young guys that you kind of attach to and they like really grow and develop with the team. And then when they take on important roles, it's like you're just extra excited for them to kind of go off and have big games. And I think that's really what sort of drove the whole Naz Reid tattoo thing. So definitely all the thousands of people walking around Minnesota without that tattoo are losers. But
tough times, man. Tough times to be in Minnesota. But I mean, they got more talented. They got a little more dynamic. The offense had always kind of been the issue in the playoffs, and they've gotten better there. They've gotten somebody who can actually create some shots. I don't know what they're going to do the power forward position because they got rid of both of their power forwards, but they'll figure something out.
One thing I will say about this trade is that like I'm optimistic about it in the sense that I think Anthony Edwards. I think we haven't been able to say this about the Minnesota Timberwolves ever, but they're a pretty strong organization right now, and I think that will help a player like LaMelo, kind of like, I don't know, his hothead, that kind of thing. That sort of stuff I feel like is less risky when you're a very stable organization with, a clear pecking order. But I do think this playoffs definitely highlighted the importance of multiple ball handlers and the importance of like not having a dude that can just be loaded up on,
or at least multiple creators, right? Because that's the problem the Knicks ran into, and they fixed it with Cat, basically.
Yeah, like they don't have to be, and that's partially why the Nuggets have always worked really well, is that Jokic is essentially the point guard, and then you have a player like Murray who can create, and that's all you need really in terms of like creation, because they're going to be able to get enough out of it, right? And same thing, I think you just need another playmaker, and I think that when they traded for Randall, they thought he could be that because he was more bully style, but he was in New York. But then I don't know, that just didn't work out in Minnesota, so he is back in New York.
Real, I think, is the word that you would use to describe Julius Randle.
Yeah.
And I think people got tired of like, if he was having a bad game offensively, that shit would just drag him down on the other end. Like he would just disengage and like pout. And I think people got sick of that shit. And it was like, yeah, we'd seen that as Knicks fans for
sure
a while. When he's at his best, so fucking good.
No, the body language is
one of the worst starters in the league.
Body language is a problem with him. And I think that, and I mean, like, Rudy Gobert has been pretty open over the years about, like, he kind of roasted Donovan Mitchell for not trying on defense plenty of times. So, like, Rudy's going to hold people accountable on defense because he knows that's where he should be taken the most seriously and should be taken the most seriously as an NBA player, because he is a very talented defender no matter what. I mean, I don't think that any of those 4 defensive player of the years that he won were unworthy. And so it's one of those things where it's like, he is still incredible and can basically be a whole defense unto himself. If you try, he's more than willing to cover up your mistakes, but you got to give a shit and try. And one thing with LaMelo, he's not a very good defender, but he's big enough to try. And if he puts in some effort, it'll be okay. He has the physical, like, he is long and pretty big. So he's got the physical traits to be like a decent defender. And so hopefully that works. And they kept Jaden McDaniels, which was like the most important thing for them. And I think the Wolves feel very high on Terrence Shannon and their new center, Beninger or something, this French dude. So they feel pretty good about those players. So I don't know. Obviously, a lot more will happen. Free agency is happening as we record, so we've probably missed so much. I haven't seen anything really come across Twitter, but
A lot of the day one stuff was kind of like announced / rumored before the official opening of free agency anyway.
Usually happens. I just saw a tweet that was like, I just saw the Suns trade an unprotected first for Miles Bridges, and you want me to get upset over trading 2 for Kawhi Leonard?
Lakers expected to sign Sandro Mamukelashvili.
I mean,
He would be Rui Hachimura's replacement, essentially.
I knew that we couldn't keep him, but I really fucking hate that because I love Mamu. Mamu is like probably one of my favorite bench players in a really long time. We haven't had a dude come off other than like Jamal Shed, but we haven't had a dude like that, like a free agent who just kind of showed up and was just like awesome. Maybe ever, frankly. So I'm sad. I love Mamu, but I really hope he gets his bag.
DeAndre Jordan's going back to the Pelicans.
Yeah, I saw that. I guess he's been really important to Derek Queen's development, so that makes sense.
Oh.
Okay, well, when we started recording, there was a report that Jalen Duren wants to play for the Celtics. Jalen Duren wants to play for anybody but Detroit, so I think Detroit needs to be careful about matching whatever offer that he gets, because I don't think that it's going to be a very nice situation there. It's going to be awkward for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also unrelated to the NBA, but related to quickly the Alyssa Thomas situation. A statement from Kathy Engelbert came out, finally.
Wait a second. I actually do have some news for you. Apparently, so this is according to our guy S. I said all indications that Kyle Lowry is set to sign a one-day deal and retire as a Raptor this season.
Okay, cool. So it's funny that you said that, because my mom asked me about that when I got to the house today. I'm looking after my parents' house. And I got here, and my mom's like, oh, I heard Kyle's going to sign with the Raptors to retire. And I was like, I mean, I know that he's telegraphed for a long, long time that that's what he will do when he's ready to retire, but I didn't think he was ready to retire. So sweet. I'm into it. I mean, I wouldn't even hate if he suited up for like a handful of games just for shits and giggles.
They might need a good 5 minutes in one of them playoff games. They might need a good 5.
We just need him to take one charge. Good.
They're gonna put a statue of him falling backwards on his ass, taking a charge.
No, the statue is gonna be him crawling through Grant Hill's legs.
The statue just gonna be like the J-Lo wax figure from Madame Tussauds way back in the day. It's gonna be just
literally just an ass. Yeah. We rate people's glutes my partner and I have a rating of people's asses on a scale of 1 to Kyle Lowry. So yeah. Anyway, statement from Kathy Engelbert. Quote, the WNBA vehemently condemns any and all forms of hate. The safety and well-being of everyone in our community is always the least top priority. Okay. We are aware of Alyssa Thomas's comments and what she said, or what she and her teammates have experienced is completely unacceptable and not representative of the WNBA community. The league and our security team have been in contact with the Phoenix Mercury organization and will remain committed to protecting all players. And then further reporting said Engelbert and Thomas exchanged texts last week. Multiple sources told ESPN, and Engelbert directed league security to get in touch with Phoenix security once hearing about the threats toward Thomas. And then the tweet that quote tweeted this was like, if I'm getting death threats and being called everything they're being called, don't be texting me, call me. And I definitely agree with that. Kathy still sucks. Anywho, Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
Wrap with the
Celtics.
Celtics.
Jaylen Brown saga has unraveled very quickly and very suddenly. He went from being the finals MVP just a couple short years ago.
Yeah.
With the Boston Celtics to then being an MVP candidate last year, dragging the Celtics team that everyone thought was just completely kind of sort of blowing it up, taking a year off and trying to come back for next season. Took him to the playoffs, had him East favorites going into the playoffs too, because he was playing that well this year. And now he wants the fuck out, and he's arguing with random like analytics people on the internet in his free time and like being angry and pouty on like Twitch. So yeah, man.
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown.
I mean,
I don't know if the Nuggets have a real package to get him. It might center around Jamal Murray, but it's gonna be hard to convince him that he needs to stay in Boston because he doesn't seem. He made some comment about like I want to go somewhere that like respects me or something like that.
Yeah. So I think what happened a little bit is he got a taste of being the number one and the main creator, and then doesn't really want to go back to being second fiddle to Kobe Jr. And yeah, I don't know. Like, it's so weird. It all happened you are correct. This escalated very quickly. Like, Jaylen Brown has always been a yapper. So he talks a lot anyway. So who knows if it's all just posturing. I mean, his whole Twitch stream after they lost was kind of funny, but he's definitely a yapper. And so, like, none of that's particularly surprising, but it's just kind of surprising, like, how fast it happened. I don't know who's going to take him. I know he has value. He's a good player, but I also don't know if people are able to, like, parse him from Jason Tatum. And I know that last year he had a really, really, really good season and he carried that team. But and again, the analytics definitely said weird shit. Like, the on-off numbers were very, like, kind of convoluted with him.
He also blew a 3-1 lead to a team where their best
That
player
too.
could like barely walk.
Yes, that too. And I know that Jason Tatum was technically back, but like, you were in charge of that, like, by that point, bud. And then you got on Twitch to fucking talk about it after, like an idiot. So there was that. Yeah.
Anywhere he winds up is going to be a place with another player of roughly his ability or better that's looking to get over the hump. They're not trying to take him in Sacramento to make him the centerpiece. They're trying to take him in like Denver to be like 1B to Jokic's 1A, or like, you know, a team of roughly that level of repute.
To be fair, I think though, I think that Brown would be fine with a thing like a trade to the Nuggets because Jokic is clearly a better player than him. Yeah. I think what you is when you get traded.
Also, I think he would get to be best perimeter guy and Jokic best big. I think because like the Shaq Kobe thing, I think that affects the ego of it somehow. I think if there's another wing who is considered option A, and you do this basically the same shit as him, it's a little different.
That's actually what I was just about to say too. Is I think like the positional thing matters, and also like that the clearly better than you. Like nobody is ever going to argue that Jaylen Brown is a better player than Nikola Jokic. Like I don't think anybody except possibly the most deluded Boston Celtics fan ever.
He would probably say he's a better two-way player than Jokic, but I don't think offensively that he would make the case that he should be the number one over Jokic.
I think you can say he's a better defensive player, and that's fair. But I don't even think you can make the argument he's overall a better two-way player because I don't think his offense is like nearly as good, so it doesn't really make up for being better on defense, in my opinion. And so I think Jaylen Brown definitely would, you know, fall into place with a player like Jokic. But I think you're 100% correct. Also, the positional thing makes a difference. But I think when he's paired with a player like Jason Tatum, like, is he clearly better than or clearly worse than Jason Tatum? Because I don't think so.
I don't.
You know, and like you said, they do the same thing pretty much. Which
there's a reason he was Finals MVP with the healthy Jason Tatum on the team.
Yeah, and I think I don't blame Jaylen Brown for being like, "Whoa, why am I the one being like? Why am I the one who has to get traded?" And I think this all started with the Giannis thing because he was in the Giannis trade talks, and everyone's like, "Bro, you're in trade talks for somebody like Giannis, like an all-time player." But it's like if I'm Jaylen Brown. Like, first of all, let's all remember the mentality of professional athletes is that you have to think you're the greatest human being to ever walk the planet because otherwise you're not going to be successful. So you're starting with that. And then second, like, you're coming off a season where you just carried a team that nobody thought was going to be good. You carried them to the second seed, and yes, you blew it super hard, complete buffoonery style in the playoffs. But, like, you did a lot of fucking work on your own. And then now you're the one in the trade talks for Giannis? Not, you know, like, and I get from his perspective being upset. And then when you don't get traded for Giannis, you still remain in trade talks. Like, it's one thing if they pulled back and were like, hey, like, you know, your name got out there. We were talking about trading for Giannis. So it was, you know, XYZ reasons, but like, you know, we're not going to trade you for, you know, they walked it back somehow. I think it could have all been okay. But the fact that he's continued to remain in trade talks and the Celtics have not done anything to stop that. They haven't said a fucking word about like, we're not trading Jaylen Brown or any of that shit. It kind of just like makes it worse, and it's been spiraling. And then Jaylen Brown is a dude who will talk. He's a known yapper, and he's out there yapping.
Literally a Twitch streamer.
Yeah, he's out there yapping. So I don't know. Uncomfortable.
Gotta fill that content somehow.
Fill the airwaves. To be honest, I am not mad at seeing the Celtics struggling and in pain. I'm fine with that. I like when they're in chaos. It's good. But I'm curious to see who lands Jaylen Brown because I just don't know if it's everyone's like, why can't he go back to Boston? It'll be fine. And I'm like, I don't think so, personally. Yeah, I think that some of these
the Knicks winning a championship broke a lot of teams' brains, man. They were like, if the fucking Knicks won, like, what? Why can't we should be able to do that. They can fucking do it. We should be able to do it right now. So like a lot of teams are just like scrambling to like throw together a championship team right now. Nobody's being patient right now. They're all like, hey, every chip is in. We can't let that shit happen again.
Well, and especially because of the CBA thing. I think this CBA being in place, the way it works now is really making an effect now because we're starting more and more contracts are being signed because of that CBA, like under that CBA than before where it was kind of just like slowly starting to impact things. Now I think you're starting to see like the full impact of all that. And a player like Jaylen Brown who is good but maybe not great, but gets paid a lot of money, and he's a champion and he was a Finals MVP. But he's just kind of a weird player where he's not clearly a Kawhi Leonard or clearly a like apex star, but at the same time is like too good to just throw around for nothing. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. I think people are underestimating the human element of these things sometimes. Where I like, for instance, with Jalen Duren, like I don't think that the situation, like if he does end up back in Detroit, just like if Jalen has to stay in Boston, I'm going to be watching so many of those games because I'm going to be deeply intrigued. I mean, I will be watching them anyways because they play the Raptors like 1,000 times, but we're in the same
Yeah.
division. But like, I'm also deeply curious to see what that looks like because I don't know, like the human elements of these things always play a role. And I think when a player is clearly that unhappy and it's like that's not just posturing. Like some players definitely feign being super unhappy as for leverage, but this doesn't feel like a leverage play because Jaylen Brown had no reason to want to leave Boston until all this happened.
Yeah, no, he seems mad. Big mad, perhaps, even.
Big mad. Feeling some big feelings right now. Him and Jalen Duren, big feelings. So yeah. But hey, the Knicks got Landry Shamet back.
Andrew Shaman's back. That is facts. We're keeping as much of the crew. Hey, Jose Alvarado's back.
Yeah.
I'm saying.
It's not so bad.
Time to run it back. People are floating the possibility of a cat, like taking a little bit less money so they can try to keep Mitch. We'll see. We'll see. Only be in the second apron for 1 year potentially and get back under the next year. Who knows?
We'll have to wait and see. A guy can hope. Well, any final free agency thoughts before we wrap this up for today, and then we'll go over everything that's actually properly been signed after when we record next.
Real quick, where do you think Bron is ending up?
I think it's going to be Golden State or Cleveland. I think that it's probably going to be the Golden State Warriors because I think at this point in Bron's career, I don't entirely think he's ring chasing anymore. I think he, like you sent me that thing from his podcast about posting about like finding basketball nirvana playing with Steph. And first of all, LeBron is like the most telegraphed player ever on media things. So that meant something, whether or not.
Yeah, they just coincidentally.
Yeah, that was not subtle. He's been manipulating news cycles for decades. So there's that. But I also just think literally the economics of the situation make it so that Golden State can make that work better. And also I think LeBron doesn't want to leave California, but he'll never sign with a franchise like the Clippers because they don't have like the gravitas to justify LeBron James signing. So I suspect that he will go to Golden State because I think that I think he also is smart enough to realize that unless he is straight up taking a veteran's minimum, like he's going to get paid $2 million, he probably can't go to a true blue contender right? Like no true blue contender can afford him. So
at least not like the absolute inner circle of, I mean, some teams who could convince themselves they have a shot, I think could, but certainly not like the best 3 teams in the league.
And that's what I mean. Like the true S tier, like these are probably going to be like the Spurs, the Thunder, the Knicks now, I suppose you can say.
Suppose. Like they didn't just win it like 3 weeks ago.
I just mean like, I guess they haven't, they've been, it's weird because they kind of just went from like knocking on the door to all of a sudden winning. So, but yeah, like the Knicks, the Knicks are together. So I see no reason why they couldn't win next year. I'm just trying to think of like, even the Nuggets, like the Nuggets are in a tough place now, but you know what I mean? Like those sort of like top, like inner circle S tier teams, I don't think that any of them could afford LeBron if he's not willing to take a vet minimum. But I also think he might at a point also want to just like live in California still. And I think he also probably wants to actually just have fun. And I think it's also personal. I do think that there's an element of he's going to want to eliminate the Lakers in a playoff series or something now. And it's harder to do that when you're in the Eastern Conference. So yeah, my thought is probably the Warriors. I think he'll retire a Cavalier, to be clear. But if he's not retiring this year, which it seems like he isn't, he's going to play. I think he's going to go to Golden State for a year.
I think it's going to be whichever one he picks, either James Harden or Draymond Green is going to be a little annoyed because they both kind of put off their extensions to wait on the LeBron decision. I think it would be hilarious if he just like randomly went to Denver or some shit. It's not going to fucking happen, but I think that'd be the funniest possible outcome. But no, I do agree. I think he winds up with the Warriors.
Speaking of Denver on the LeBron front really quickly, though, it's really funny because, sorry, it looks like Walker Kessler might be going to the Lakers. I was really hoping that the Raps might get in on that one, too. But anywho's, more importantly, the Denver people with LeBron. So, because LeBron, like, famously, the Nuggets, like, sold out to try and, like, meet with LeBron in 2018 because, you know, they had this young player, like, in Jokic, he was clearly ascending, like, you know, all this stuff. And then LeBron famously, he never met with them. And it was, like, a whole thing. And I saw multiple tweets today from people like Adam Mares and, like, people like, hi, like, well-known Denver sports people who are like, I honestly think that if he had signed in Denver in 2018, we could have had multiple championships. And honestly, I don't disagree with that. I think it's really interesting to think about if LeBron had just like been like, you know what, fuck it. This is actually my best chance to maybe like create a dynasty instead of the Lakers and had gone there. It's really interesting to think about what that would have turned out to be. And maybe they wouldn't have won shit, who knows? But it's just like kind of an interesting what if he had paired with Jokic. And I mean, even like now it would be cool, but it would have been way more fun in 2018 when he was basically still in his prime, you know? So I genuinely think it's going to be the Golden State Warriors, but it'll be them and the Cavaliers. I don't see him going anywhere else, to be honest. If he's going to wear another jersey than the Lakers or Cavaliers or Heat, it's going to be Golden State just because of Steph.
I would be genuinely shocked if it was the Heat. It doesn't think make any fucking sense.
No.
I get that there's a connection. Like, him pairing with Giannis and Bam, just what the fuck is that? So yeah, I think it's going to be the Warriors ultimately.
Yeah, I think so too. Because I just don't know what the Cavaliers can do to like free up the money. I mean, obviously James Harden, like you said, his extension, but they're in the second apron, so that is real fucking hard to work with. So I don't know, but I guess we'll find out. I'm actually low-key surprised we haven't seen anything from LeBron yet, but I sent you my favorite tweet I saw about it was, I guess LeBron is like,
some shirtless selfies, so there's that. That's the only update from LeBron.
He's telling his agents to like, you know, gather meetings, blah, blah, blah. He'll make a decision. And Mike Golick Jr. tweeted, he's like, too fast, too decision.
They reportedly, there are 12 plus suitors, which is such a weird thing. Like, so 13? Like,
duh.
Why wouldn't you say 10 plus to make it
Or
like
just say
broadly double digits?
Because
Why would you say 12 plus? There's 12 and 3/4.
Like half
14.
the league. Just say half the league. Most of the league is interested. Like, obviously, it's LeBron James. Duh. Even if he's 40 fucking years old, people still want LeBron James. It would be super. 7. Somebody posted a screenshot of like a Photoshop of him in a Raptors jersey and was like, "Daddy's home," and I was like, "No." Mostly at the tweet, not so much LeBron in a Raptors jersey, but the "Daddy's home" thing made me want to vomit.
Yeah, nah.
In my mouth. So.
Not enjoying the phrasing, but yeah.
We don't need LeBron in LeBronto. But yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see where he lands. That'll be really interesting. It's just wild to me that he can still hijack a news cycle at this point in his career. That's true longevity right there. That is true. Like, that makes him the GOAT more than Michael Jordan, I think. That might tip the scales. I don't know.
Jordan at 40 wound up on the Wizards. Braun might actually end up on a good team. But anyway,
the media scales.
We'll be back in a couple weeks. Catch us at wineanddimepod on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. The wine was pretty good, if anyone was wondering. That is A to Z from A to Z Wineworks. Pretty nice.
Did you almost say from A to Z? And I was like, wait, what? Yeah.
The Bob's Red Mill of wineries, apparently.
The what, sir?
Bob's Red Mill. They're an employee-owned place. Yeah. They make like grits and various flowers and whatnot.
Amazing. Yeah, that sounds like what this is too. Actually, the back of the bottle is pretty cute. Aromatic and delicious. The wine makes food sing, and sometimes your guests too. That's pretty good. I like that.
That's what's up.
Yeah, well, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Later.